This tutorial is going to walk you through how to use the tracking sheet for each of the content areas that we're focusing on in the intervention. The first tab of the tracking sheet is always the student names. You can add in the first name, the last name. If you teach multiple classes, you can add in the class section number. You can indicate whether that student might have an IEP in mathematics and any other notes that you would like to add. You only need to add in the student names once in this spreadsheet, and it will automatically carry over to the other tabs in the spreadsheet. So for example, if I move to the entry and exit check-ins tab, you can see that the names have been pulled over to this tab. On the entry and exit check-in tab is where you will find a link to the entry ticket. The entry ticket has specific legends embedded in the ticket that help you identify what the criteria are and how to assess those criteria. Generally, each row of the entry ticket will be a different criteria that will be connected to this spreadsheet right here. So the entry ticket for operations with fractions in grade 8, row 1 would be adding fractions, row 2 would be subtracting fractions, row 3 would be multiplying fractions, and row 4 would be dividing fractions. When you look at that row on the entry ticket, you use the legend embedded in the entry ticket to determine whether the student is demonstrating a level of understanding that is emerging, developing, or proficient. So in row 1, this student was demonstrating a level of understanding that was emerging. In row 2, for subtracting fractions for that criteria, also demonstrating emerging level of understanding, and etc. with multiplying fractions and dividing fractions. Once you have all of this data entered, you look across to see what would you determine to be the overall level of understanding of operations with fractions for each student. And then you use the drop-down menu here to determine whether their overall level of understanding is emerging, developing, or proficient. Using this data, you will then start to create the groups that you will be working with over the next 6 to 8 weeks. If a student is absent, we just leave it blank at this point until you have an opportunity to administer the diagnostic with the student or the check-in, and then you can fill in that information when that works. So once you have your group set, you move to the problem set tab. And the problem set tab will once again pull over the names of the students, the class that they're in, what level they got on the entry ticket, and what group number they are. And this is really handy because I can use these filters that are in place here. So say I just wanted today to look at all of the students that are in 8-1. And I'll take out everything else except for 8-1. And now the sheet will just show me the students who are in 8-1. If I want to see in 8-1 which students are emerging, I can do this, and now I see the students who are emerging, and then I could even filter it further to say I actually only want the students who are in 8-1 who are emerging and who are in group 1. And now I can just work with these students and work on a certain problem set with these students. I'm just going to clear those filters now so that we still have all of the students, and you just simply do that by selecting all right here and then scrolling down to say okay, and then you can have all your students back. So the filters are very handy to see certain information. As I'm sitting with students at the small group table, if I'm sitting with the group who demonstrated a level of understanding of emerging in the entry ticket, then I would start here with problem set A. And when I click on that, that's going to take me to a slide deck that has a set of problems around adding and subtracting fractions. If the student or the group demonstrated a level of understanding of developing, I would start at problem set B. And if the group of students demonstrated a level of understanding that was proficient, I'm going to start over here at set E. This is just a suggestion. You obviously know your students best, so you would determine maybe even though they were proficient, I want to go back and do a couple subtraction questions with them first, and then I'll determine whether I want to move into multiplying and dividing. When you have done a problem set with a group, you can use this drop-down menu to say, yes, they mastered this problem set. We're ready to move on to the next problem set. And we work across the spreadsheet to the right. Here is our legend to determine whether we should say yes, no. Yes is if they were able to complete correctly a medium or hot fairly independently without much assistance. Then we know they're done with that problem set and they're ready to move on the next problem set. If they were unable to do that independently, you might want to revisit that problem set. Each problem set has been created with mild, medium, and hot parallel tasks in 2 sets. So you get 2 sets of mild, medium, and hot questions for each concept that we are focusing on. And these core concepts are connected to the book Rethinking Fractions. If the student was absent, you can just click absent on that. But this is also helpful because at some point, when I want to come back and revisit this, I can then once again easily use my filters to determine, okay, which students didn't quite finish problem set A. And then using my filter, this shows me all the students that I would still want to connect with around problem set A. So again, I'll just take that filter off. Okay, so those are the problem sets. We also have built in a tab for your convenience called Station Activities. And these will be the same stations for each of the tracking sheets for the grade level that you're working with. But the idea is it's a bank. And from this bank, you can choose which activities you would like the rest of the students to be working on in their stations while you are working on with a small group at the back table or at your small group instruction table. Generally, what we recommend is that you choose one fluency, so the activity type is over here, and one purposeful practice, so that students have an opportunity to work on some mental math or fluency as well as purposeful practice. And we've also indicated what that activity might be good for reinforcing. If you have the luxury of having 2 adults in the room on your purposeful practice days, you would want to choose two activities from the station bank. If you are doing the one coach model where you're the only adult in the room, then you would choose 3 activities from the station's bank. You also could use your turn activities from MathUp if you use MathUp, or if you have another practice activity for whatever topic you're teaching at that time. And then the last piece I want to show you is after your 6 to 8 weeks of working with students on this particular concept, you would return to the entry ticket and re-administer the entry ticket so that we can see their growth. And then you would add that information, the magic of television here, over here. And what will automatically happen once you have that data in is this section of the entry and exit check-in tab will automatically populate so you can see if growth has happened. So improved means that obviously they improved in their level of understanding. Static means that it stayed the same. And if we have a situation where the level of understanding has actually declined, that might be an opportunity where you would want to talk to that student. Perhaps they were having not such a great day when they redid the exit ticket. Or maybe they thought they understood something and now they're confused more. So it would be an opportunity for you to reconnect with those students.